So we have some breaking news today, as Donald Trump has filed a lawsuit against New York Attorney General, and I have the lawsuit here, as you guys can see, and I'll be going over certain parts of the lawsuit. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. It's 30 pages, and you might find it very boring. So I'll link this lawsuit in the description box below for you guys to check out the entire thing. It's a fascinating read, especially once you get to the evidence part of what Donald Trump and his lawyers are alleging. And I have to say alleging because, it hasn't been proven in court yet. But here's an MSNBC clip that kind of generally explains the lawsuit and why Trump is suing. So I'm just going to watch this real quick and then we'll discuss the lawsuit.
The former president has just filed a lawsuit against New York's Attorney General Letitia James, who's been investigating the former president and his company. Our justice correspondent Pete Williams just read through this lawsuit for us. So, Pete, what can you tell us?
Well, the lawsuit basically says that the Attorney General in New York, Letitia James, has acted inappropriately from the beginning, that even before she took office, she was criticizing Donald Trump, that she has made it her life's work to go after him. She has bombarded him and his companies and members of his family with court process. They call it a crusade, unwarranted subpoenas in a bitter crusade to take on the president, this lawsuit says. It says she has flagrantly abused her investigatory powers to target her political adversaries and advance her career. Now, it's filed just a few weeks after she announced that she would seek to depose the president in a deposition scheduled for January 7th. What the lawsuit says is that her actions have violated a number of Donald Trump's constitutional rights, his rights of due process, his free speech rights. So they ask a federal court to do a couple of things. Number one, put on hold any of the civil investigations that she's doing until this lawsuit is resolved. And secondly, they want the judge to order her to have no involvement at all in the civil investigation that her office has against Donald Trump for potential fraud, and for any involvement by her office in the separate criminal investigation that's being done by the New York District Attorney, Cy Vance. So this was just filed in federal court in the Northern District in New York. The next step, of course, will be for the Attorney General to respond, and then the judge will make some decision about whether to grant this injunction that the president's seeking here.
Alright. So that's a pretty good summation of the lawsuit that the president or the former president filed against the New York Attorney General. Now, if you actually look at the lawsuit, it's a very interesting read. This is the actual complaint against from Trump. And then if you go down here, wait till it loads actually. It says this is the preliminary statement of the lawsuit. So this is not that important. I mean, what's this? Is just continuing that. Okay, let's hear the parties. This is just letting you know who is suing and who is being sued and what. So now jurisdiction and venue. This is basically letting the judge know how he has jurisdiction over the case. Let's keep going. This is the fascinating part. The statement of facts. These are basically the facts of the case, or what the Trump attorneys are alleging are the facts of the case, even though a lot of these are pretty much facts at this point. I'm going to read some of these because I'm not going through all this because it's like 10 pages long, and it shows Letitia James's obvious hatred for Donald Trump. Yeah. Try that again. Letitia James has shown her obvious hatred for Donald Trump and her partisan hackery. Before she became Attorney General and after she became Attorney General. So I'm going to read some of these. The defendant is an outspoken political activist and member of Democratic Party. Again, that's not much of a... Yes, usually if you're running for office, usually you're a political or you're a member of a party. I mean, so that's not much of a point. Prior to serving as Attorney General of the State of New York, defendant served as Democratic member of New York City Council, and New York City public advocate for over a decade. After Trump's victory in 2016, the defendant began displaying severe animosity towards the president-elect. Prior to Trump's inauguration, defendant retweeted calls to sit in for protest of Trump's nomination of Jeff Sessions to be the Attorney General. 5 days after Trump's inauguration, defendant joined public protests and declared that his administration had shown its true and ugly colors, and we would not be silent. 5 days. 5. Trump barely could do anything in 5 days, but according to her, in 5 days, the administration has shown its true and ugly colors. Okay. Over the next several months, defendant continued to publicly voice her disdain for Trump and his administration. All of this is fine because she's a private citizen or a citizen at this point. She's not attorney general. She's not a prosecutor or anything like that. So all this is fine. But this is building because once you run for attorney general, that's where the issue it becomes a major issue. Which is why I'm not going to read much more of this. Yeah, it's important. It establishes the defendant's hatred for Trump, which is important, but ultimately what matters is, let's see. Okay, here we go. Roughly 10 months into Trump's term, the defendant announced, I've been leading the resistance against Donald Trump in New York City, and I will continue to do so in every way possible. In her capacity as New York City public advocate, defendant demonstrated willingness to wield the government's power against those whose political beliefs differed from her own. That willingness took center stage in the defendant's political campaign for Attorney General and her subsequent actions as New York chief law enforcement officer. Now, this is the part that it's just brutal. And it lays out what she's done throughout her time as Attorney General. I'm not going to read all of these because I would be here for 30 minutes. And if I go through all these, but I'll read some of them. In May of 2018, after Attorney General Eric Schneiderman's resignation, defendant declared her candidacy for the Attorney General of the State of New York. Okay, fine. As candidate Attorney General, defendant made taking on Donald Trump as a focal point of her campaign, often comparing herself to Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller, who at the time was leading the now debunked investigation into whether the Trump campaign colluded with Russians to interfere in the 2016 elections. Now, if you're Attorney General, you're basically the chief law enforcement officer for the state or a chief prosecutor. You can't promise. Basically, she's promising the voters in New York that her only intention is to go after Donald Trump, which is at best a ridiculous thing to do. It's like, yeah, I mean, I promise you, I will investigate Donald Trump. You elect me as Attorney General. That's what her campaign was, pretty much. She did not run a campaign. She did not run, okay, I promise to lower crime, or I promise to go after criminals, or I promise to use this, that, and the third. No, it was Donald Trump. Trump, 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 Trump. That's what her whole campaign was about. And it goes through dates and lawsuit and stuff. Defendant's campaign website not only repeated derogatory and inaccurate statements concerning Trump's policies, but also stated with no evidentiary basis whatsoever that Trump had engaged in public corruption. Okay. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm sure. And there's like sources here in this part where here's the website. Let me see if this actually is still here. Alright. Okay, let's try to open this link and see whether it's here or not. With the election. Okay, this is her actual campaign here, her website. So let's see, is there anything important here? I actually can't see this, hold on, damn. Let me, bear with me 1 second here, okay, here it is. Let me try and make this bigger, because I can barely see it. Oops, not that yet. With the election of Donald Trump as president, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna read through all this. I'll link this in the description box, so. Because this is basically what the allegation is that. Here we go. The allegation is a defendant with no evidentiary basis whatsoever that Trump had engaged in public corruption. See right here. You can see it here. With the election of Donald Trump as president, we have seen what looks like when shameless public corruption and policy for sale become central part of the governing philosophy. So as you can see, it's right there. I highlighted it. So, yep. Now if we keep going here, This is not really okay. Nonetheless, the defendant continued to shamelessly campaign on unfounded allegations against Trump and his family in a misguided effort to garner media attention and promote her fundraising efforts. I mean, this is devastating, if true. This is all alleged, by the way. This is because it's not been adjudicated in court yet. On June 26, 2018, defendant spoke at a protest opposing the Supreme Court's decision of Trump versus Hawaii. Basically, Trump versus Hawaii, remember, was the case where the state of Hawaii sued the Trump administration over their no Muslim policy, pretty much no or banning Muslims from entering the country, that policy. So that's pretty much what that was. Telling the crowd that it's critically important that we all understand that this is a result of the fact that Republicans stole the Supreme Court seat, an illegitimate president, and illegitimate member of the Supreme Court. Basically, she's dog whistling for Russiagate. That's what she's doing there. So, without no evidence either. She had no evidence at this point, but she's still dog whistling Russiagate. Let's see. What else can I read? What else is I think is important? Here we go. On July 11, 2018, defendant posted on a Democratic fundraising platform, Act Blue, with messages such as, I need your help in this fight against Donald Trump. And in this fight against Donald Trump and his harmful administration, I need your help. So in other words, what she said is like, oh no, I mean, don't worry, I'm not going to lower your crime, I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to go after Donald Trump. Elect me, go after Trump. I swear I'll go after Trump, 100%. I mean, this is so blatant that I'm surprised how she's still Attorney General. I mean, this is obviously, just blatant partisan corruption, not partisan hackery. That's what I'm looking for. This is obvious partisan hackery. By promising to prosecute a political opponent in the way of inciting voters to provide donations to her campaign, defendant likely violated numerous campaign finance laws. Again, I know nothing about campaign finance laws. I have no expertise in that. They're confusing as all hell. So is it possible she violated campaign finance laws? Yes. But I don't know, so I can't really assert that in this video because I would have to research that, and even then be a matter of my opinion because I'm not a lawyer. So. And those laws are confusing as it is. On July 19, 2018, in the midst of a politically charged speech for the Bronx Democratic Party, defendant promised to use the law as a sword to relentlessly bombard Trump, proclaiming that's a typo, no one's above the law, including this illegitimate president. So I look forward to going to office of the Attorney General every day, suing him, defending your rights, then going home. Again, she's calling him illegitimate president with no evidence whatsoever. I mean, this is partisan hackery at its finest. At its worst, better, I should say. Now, let's see, is it one? I'm not going to go through all these because these are just... I would be here for 30 minutes if I did. Let's see... On the same day, defendant tweeted, I got my eyes on the Trump Tower and promised to work with Mueller to make sure justice is served. Defendant assured her retaliation against Trump was just getting started. What can only be constructed as an attempt to threaten and intimidate Trump, defendant tweeted that Trump is running out of time and warned him she would immediately investigate him and his cronies when she took office. Let's see. Now let's look when she actually took office because it's still 2018. Now here we go. Defendant was elected Attorney General of the state of New York. During her victory speech, she made a solemn promise to shine a bright light into every dark corner of Trump's real estate holdings. Wow, amazing. Immediately following her election to the office of Attorney General of the state of New York, defendant, with no evidentiary or investigatory basis, laid bare her intent to employ the resources and authority of her elected office to impermissibly target the President of the United States, a political opponent on whom she has staked her campaign for election. The day after the election, defendant prejudged the outcome of her promised investigation for taking office, before establishing a legal predicate for such an investigation and before gathering any facts or requesting a single document from Trump. Again, that's partisan hackery. I mean, she already decided Trump was guilty. So she decided Trump was guilty and was working backwards from her conclusion. So it's partisan hackery 101. no, even if she were to press charges against Trump, how would she prove that she's not a partisan hack? That's basically what it would take. This is that's what did he say? Okay, in an interview with political activist and former Democratic Party candidate for New York City Council, Adina Sash, defendant was asked if she planned to sue Trump and the Trump Organization. Defendant laughingly responded, "Oh, we're definitely going to sue him. We're going to be a real pain in his ass. He's going to know my name personally." Again, she's a partisan hack and also building her career in the name on going after Trump. That continues. Let me say. Defendants' open threats and promises to investigate Trump were so appalling that even members of her own party condemned them as unlawful. Daniel Goldman, the Democratic Party counsel for the impeachment process against Trump, and former assistant United States attorney in Manhattan, warned that the defendant's statements give the appearance of an individualized political vendetta. Of course. I mean, you could tell that the whole point of Letitia James's career is to go after Trump. Kind of like Cenk Uygur's whole point of his growth in TYT after 2016 was to go after Trump. He's still doing it. To this day, he does videos going after Trump, and I guarantee you he'll make a video on this today in order to attack Trump. It's essential that prosecutors maintain their neutrality and objective view of the facts and evidence, no matter the politics involved. By abandoning even the pretext of such neutrality, the defendant went too far in allowing politics to shape her agenda. Okay, let's say. In summation, I guess that's supposed to say, defendant promised to investigate Trump dozens of times over 7 months, all before she ever assumed office or was privy to a single fact known to law enforcement. Defendant did not state a legal or factual basis for such promises. She could not. After all, her knowledge of Trump business activities were no greater than any other citizen. Rather than only justification for the forthcoming investigation was her political opposition to Trump. Again, this is all just devastating. Let's go when she was actually Attorney General now. Oh, here we go. This is what I wanted to read. Let's start here. On March 11, 2019, the defendant employed the authority and vast array of resources of the Office of the Attorney General to formally open an investigation of the Trump Organization and issue subpoenas to Deutsche Bank and Investors Bank for records relating to financing of 4 major Trump Organization projects. The subpoenas were a culmination of months of threats from the defendant that she would aggressively investigate Mr. Trump and, by extension, the Trump Organization. The defendant has claimed that she relied on the testimony given by Michael Cohen before Congress as grounds in initiating the investigation of the plaintiffs. The defendant is well aware that, based on his prior history, Cohen is an unreliable source whose sworn testimony lacks any semblance of credibility. Cohen was previously convicted of committing a federal offense in connection with the precise act that the defendant claims to have relied on, testifying before Congress. In particular, on November 29, 2018, Cohen was convicted of making false statements to Congress in violation of 18 U.S. Code Section 101A2, as well as, I think that's how you read that, as well as 7 additional federal felonies, which each involved this section. In the words of presiding District Court Judge William H. Pauley III, Cohen was guilty of a veritable smorgasbord of fraudulent conduct. Lawyers and their language. In connection with Cohen's consolidated sentencing proceedings, the United States of America is submitting 2 scathing sentencing memoranda, each dated December 7, 2018, one signed by the Special Counsel's Office, another by the United States Attorney's Office. In the SCO sentencing, which was signed by Special Counsel Robert S. Mueller and focused on Cohen's false statements to Congress, Mueller detailed how Cohen's lies were deliberate and premeditated, and part of a deliberate effort to use his lies as a way to set the tone and shape the course of the hearings in an effort to stymie the inquiries. In the USAO sentencing memorandum, which was signed by acting United States Attorney Robert Kumarzi, I butchered that name, and focused more generally on Cohen's character and credibility. Kuzmari described Cohen as a man who knowingly sought to undermine core institutions of our democracy and repeatedly used his power and influence for deceptive ends, like engaging in extensive, deliberate, and serious criminal conduct, which was motivated by personal greed and ambition, consistent with a pattern of deception that permeated his professional life. Cohen, formerly attorney at law, was eventually disbarred for his fraudulent and deceitful conduct. So he was disbarred eventually. So that's what Letitia James based on investigation on, was testimony of Michael Cohen, who was thoroughly disgraced and embarrassed as a liar. So, yep. Let me see. Anything else more important? The rest, it's just 10 pages. I think you get the point, though. I'm not going to keep reading any of these because I'll be here for 30. This video is only 20 minutes long, so I don't want to keep belaboring the point. I think you guys get it. I'll link this full lawsuit in the description box below for you guys to read, because I think it's a fascinating read. Now I want to get to the reaction from Democrats here. Let's see. This is from Occupy Democrats, who claim, breaking news, the New York Attorney General Letitia James responds to Trump lawsuit against her, putting him on notice that he doesn't get to dictate her investigation, which will continue undeterred because no one's above the law. Art retweet to thank her for setting Trump straight. Again, he's not setting Trump straight. This is a partisan hack Democrat Twitter account. So of course they're going to be, if you're a Democrat who is thrilled by the New York Attorney General just responded to Trump's lawsuit by telling him he doesn't think of it's kind of the same thing. Now when I look at this video, it's 30 seconds long. It's not going to take much time. Let me go from the beginning here. Oops. Sorry about that.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass.
I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president.
We need to focus on Donald Trump. We need to follow his money.
What is fueling my soul right now is Trump.
This illegitimate president. I look forward to going into the office of Attorney General every day, suing him, and then going home.
She is unhinged. I mean, her hatred for Trump is unhinged, and some of the things in this video was mentioned in the lawsuit. So obviously he is. So it's not like they're making this up. They're not. But allegedly, this is all alleged. I have to say alleged because even though I read the lawsuit, a lot of parts. Try that again. I've read certain parts of the lawsuit for you, so you can tell that this is more than just alleged. But I have to say alleged because this has not been proven in court yet. Well, those are my initial thoughts for this lawsuit. If there's an update, which I'm sure there was going to be, I'll make another video, responding to it, letting you know what's going on. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe and comment and tell me what you think. The lawsuit will be in the description box below under sources. I have a whole thing under sources. These tweets will be there too, along with this, with Letitia James' website, her official website. This is her what's I'm looking for, her platform. Thank you, her platform. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully there's no issue with the mic, but I can't guarantee that because I'm using the internal mic on my laptop. So until the next video, I have a couple more videos coming. One about AOC's reaction to the to Manchin killing better business, Manchin killing Build Back Better. Sorry, and I have another video coming up responding to Latina, pushing Latinx bullshit on us. So those videos will be coming either today or tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Until the next video, have a great day.